The sun may not be completely agreeing with my shot here, but as you can see, it still shines in Indianapolis, despite the person over my shoulder not participating in the WNBA All-Star Game. Right before my flight took off, I saw the notification, I saw the news that Caitlin Clark would not participate in the WNBA All-Star Game. Not really a surprise considering what happened in that Connecticut Sun game, considering that she didn't play against the New York Liberty, and considering I think most people believe that is the correct decision for Caitlin Clark when you talk about her long-term health and when you talk about the Indiana Fever's season going forward. She already had sat a couple weeks with the groin issue on the other side. Now, I know it was day-to-day that Stephanie White said after the MRI, but I would imagine that Caitlin Clark will be sitting out around the same amount of time, or at least for a while. And this is a chance for her to get an actual All-Star break, to not play. I mean, the Fever don't play again until Tuesday back in Brooklyn. Not to say she's playing in that game, but that is a week, right? That's a week. And that gives her some time to heal. And this gives her a chance to be on the sideline without missing too many games. And hopefully this time Caitlin Clark can get right, though obviously you can't guarantee that considering the bevy of injuries she's dealt with this season that have sort of moved around in her body. I mean, you had the quad and then another place in the quad, I guess, and then left groin and then right groin. And then, of course, where the All-Star festivities are being held had to make this a particularly difficult decision. Clark turned down the NBA, you remember. She turned down the NBA in order to participate in the WNBA three-point contest from Indianapolis, and, of course, it being the host city. And as Stephanie White said last night, that's a big deal. It's a big deal. The WNBA All-Star Game was the most watched event last season in the entire WNBA calendar, including the playoffs. So it is a massive deal for Caitlin Clark not to be a part of it. She sent out this note via the Indiana Fever. I'm so excited for Indy to host WNBA All-Star this weekend. I want to thank the Indianapolis host committee and all the people that have put endless work in over the past year to put this event together. I know this will be the best All-Star yet. I'm incredibly sad and disappointed to say I can't participate in the three-point contest or the All-Star game. I have to rest my body. I will still be at Greenbridge Fieldhouse for all the action, and I'm looking forward to helping Sandy coach our team to a win. Can't wait to see you all out there. Of course, that's in reference to Sandy Brondello, the head coach of the New York Liberty. Again, I was in the press room for Sandy Brondello's press conference yesterday, and she had nothing but kind words to say about Caitlin Clark and getting a chance to coach her. Of course, she didn't know she was out at that point, but the sentiment remains the same. And Brondello is just a complete class act, as anybody can attest to. Here's what she said again.
Yeah, you never want to see a player get injured. And, a player like Caitlin coming back has had a few injuries this year. She's a great player. It would have been good for our craft to see her, but hopefully they get to see her after post-All-Star, get to play them again. As for the All-Star, I'm excited to get to know her a little bit. I think that's the part of the All-Star. It's going to coach players that you haven't coached before and get them to know them a little bit and enjoy the whole celebration.
But, part of the entire story here, injuries happen, right? They're a part of sports. You're not going to be able to control all injuries. But the way that the WNBA schedule has unfolded this season has certainly had people scratching their heads and questioning things. That includes the New York Liberty coach, who was also asked about the condensed schedule last night and had this to say about the way things are structured.
Yeah, there has been a lot this year for ankles and varying degrees of injuries. That's, muscle injuries that have kept him out. And maybe that's a load thing. When it gets, to muscle, it's more about, probably too many games, too much on top of each other. I think that's how it is. And sometimes injuries are just bad luck too. You saw Ryan Howard's the other day. That was just really bad luck. I mean, unfortunate, but what's the solution? Obviously probably having a longer season, having less games on top of each other. I think that's the only solution. And, because these players are conditioned, but sometimes that's part of the game. And, so hopefully maybe in the future we'll have a longer season.
So a pretty clear and direct statement there from New York Liberty head coach Sandy Brondello. Now, the other aspect of all this injury stuff is also the physicality with which defenders are allowed to play with. And it's not just, Caitlin Clark that's coming up with. It's also Becky Hammon said this, the Aces head coach. The physicality is out of control. I think the freedom of movement is a joke. There is no freedom of movement. It's not basketball. It's rugby. So when you think it's just like Caitlin Clark fans complaining, that's not the case. It is being said by others as well. And it was said once again by Stephanie White last night. I shared these before, but worth sharing again because I think this sentiment is exactly correct when it comes to the way Caitlin Clark is defended.
It is tough. Certainly someone who has the ball in her hands as much as Caitlin, the physicality that she's experiencing for 40 minutes, it causes you to load differently, causes you to explode differently, it causes you to accelerate and decelerate differently. It's not the free-flowing movement, that we want to see when it comes to freedom of movement. And I think all of those things, at times, while it might not be one blow or another, over time can contribute to that. That's why freedom of movement is a huge emphasis from our coaches' standpoint when we have conversations at the league level. So can you point it out to one thing or the other? No, but I do think the physicality with which teams are able to play with her is a factor.
So if no one else does before me, I'm going to try to attempt to ask Commissioner Kathy Engelbert about that very topic when she has her media availability before the All-Star festivities. The orange carpet is going on right now as I speak, and there's still a celebration here. And obviously, Caitlin Clark said she hopes to still be a part of the celebration and to help Coach Sandy Brondello, obviously on the sideline there. We've seen her do that with the Fever this year. But some of the celebratory nature, the balloon is popped a little bit when the biggest star in the sport cannot compete. And again, it's not necessarily the schedule or the physical play directly, but to say that they couldn't have correlated and led to this along with other factors would also be naive. And it's just a bummer, certainly is a bummer, but it is probably the right decision, obviously, for Caitlin Clark to get herself right for the rest of the season. And hopefully the other stars still shine bright and they'll have a chance to do that because so many other WNBA players are now bigger known names, well-known names, given the last year or so of attention around the league. And of course, the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark still plan to play host, which you can see by the building behind me. It's a little bit hard to miss if you're walking down this particular street in Indianapolis.